And good morning, and welcome to another Thrive Tribe Introduces podcast. And today we have the wonderful Jill Starling, who is a colour analysis and sustainability style provider. How are you, Jill? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
So, Jill, I think there's a lot of people that potentially won't know what colour analysis and sustainable style is. But for now, let's just take you back a bit. What's your background and what's led you to this point?
Okay. So like many small business owners in Lincolnshire, I left the Air Force after a 20-year career. I was an air and space operations officer, so very different to what I do now. But I think within all of us, there is a creative, and that certainly the creative aspect was waiting to burst forth from my very being, and it's manifested itself through fashion and style, which has always been a passion and interest of mine, but not something that I was necessarily able to pursue in my full-time career in the military. And so now, looking at the next 20 years of my life, I've decided that I kind of want to help people and want to help the planet. And being a colour consultant allows me to inhibit this intersection of fashion, style, self expression, and sustainability.
That's brilliant. And as somebody who has been through a colour analysis, thoroughly love the process. Would you like to tell people a little bit more about what colour analysis and sustainable style is?
Yeah, in a nutshell, colour analysis is simply a method of determining the colours that make you look the best that you can be with minimum effort. And it is as simple as the colour nearest your face. You do get people who sit there and go, I can wear whatever colour I want. And you know what? I don't dispute that. I say, yeah, you can wear whatever colour you want. But I can tell you there are colours that are going to make you look like you've just had a 10-day break in Santorini. And then there's other colours that are going to make you look like you've just been dug up. So, wear the colours that you want to wear, but until you sit in the chair and you are draped and you will see it with your own eyes, it's not magic. Well, it's part magic, but it's also based on a science.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, definitely. So what made you? I know obviously you spoke a little bit about the fact of obviously you've come out the forces. How long have you had UQ up and running for?
So Yoohoo's been running for 2 years, and one of the greatest aspects of being in the military is leaving the military, and you get this really great resettlement package, and you get options to do all sorts of different training courses. And I thought this would be a really good route to go down. Just that I thought there was a lot of flexibility and it's something that really interests me. Again, I think because there is a little bit of science behind it and that kind of appeases that logical part of my brain, but it's also very much got this whole creative artistic streak, which is definitely something that I was like yearning for.
No, that's brilliant. I say well done for doing all that service as well. That's an illustrious long career. That well done. So with you, what is your mission? So what have you set out to achieve?
So, at Yoohoo, I help people find their confidence through colour and style. And I've always said to anyone that I meet, if you've undergone a change in your life, and that can be anything as deep as, you're going through the divorce, going through the menopause, or it could be at the other end of the scale where you're going for a new job, you're starting corporate life. Getting your colours done is just a way to help you harmonize what's on the inside to the outside. Again, it's self expression. And for those people who say, oh, I don't care what I wear, I think at the heart of it, I think everyone does care a little bit about what they wear. And this just helps harmonize what's on your inside to your outside.
Do you know what, Jill? That's absolutely beautiful. And as somebody that used to wear a whole load of black, black was definitely my colour. And obviously, having had a colour analysis done, and now I've got whites, I've got yellows, I've got oranges, because the autumn colours are the ones that suit me. And you can, as soon as you put it on, the colours that match.
It lifts.
Yeah, it does, and you know
Absolutely.
it's kind of like voodoo. It's like witchcraft, but I promise it's it's such a great thing. And as I say, when I first met Jill, having already been through the process, yeah, it's definitely life changing, which is something weird to say about clothing.
Yeah.
But
And
if you,
I think that's it with clothing, on that level, it's very superficial, fashion, clothing. But I think it's now about people wanting to invest in pieces that are not only great for them, but are better for the planet in general. Because the negative impacts of the fashion industry are well documented, and that's a whole podcast in itself. And I think what happens is that people fall under the spell of trends and color trends. And I'm trying to break people out of that. You no longer have to slavishly follow color trends because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be for you. They're not going to suit you. So if I can tell someone, hey, I can make you look amazing, but guess what? You can save the planet at the same time. In my mind's eye, why wouldn't you do that, embrace it, run towards it with both arms open?
no, I absolutely love that. And I say, I can never see what you mean about the fashion industry. Obviously, most of us are guided when we go into a shop,
Mm.
literally by whatever looks nice on the hanger.
Yeah.
And that's how that correlates when you've actually got it on, might be completely different.
And so often I have someone in the chair, and we talk about, where they shop, how they shop. And they say, oh, yeah, I've ordered something online, I put it on at home, and I've just gone, oh, no. And generally, it's because guess what? They've colorized that model to that piece of clothing. It's going to look great on them. When you
Ah.
put it on at home, you're going to have that underwhelming, oh, good grief, I look like I've been up moment, which is what we try to avoid. So I think once you've had your color analysis, do you look through shopping through a different lens? You're no longer as susceptible to all the tricks of marketing that you're hit with every single day, every single moment of your life.
And that's the thing that I think again some people don't actually think about. Clothing brands are there to sell, aren't they?
Yeah,
And they're there to provide items of clothing. If you pay £5 or £500 for a T-shirt, at the end of the day, they want you to come back, as a brand and buy more, more, and more.
yeah. And I just think it's all about buying less and buying better. That's the bottom line.
No, no, honestly, I love that. And you mentioned about people ordering stuff online, and I think I saw a statistic. It's something daft like a third of everything that's ordered online clothing wise is then sent back. So
Yeah,
people will buy, you know, two sizes, two styles, and then
yeah,
return the one that doesn't suit them or doesn't fit. And again, it's that sustainability, isn't it? It's kind of like that delivery from wherever it's coming from to your door, and then obviously sending it back again, and the fuel and everything else. And I say, I love the sustainability aspect of what you do. Have you got a vision for the sustainability side?
yeah. So I think I'm dedicated to helping people of all ages, backgrounds, and budgets. Gentlemen, if you're listening, this isn't just for women. I know that you may think you're the most perfect creature to have graced the Earth's surface, but color analysis is for men as well. The LGBTQ community as well. I mentioned about if you're going through a change in life, whether it's changing job, divorce, or the menopause, I'm getting people who've gone through the change as well, a gender transition, and they're coming to see me just to get a little bit of a handrail. I'm not going to give them a box saying, this is your new style, off you go. But I think color is the foundation of everything. So if I can just give them a little help, a little bit of hand holding for part of it, and then once the ball starts rolling, honestly, you can't stop some people. Off they go. And it's just, as I say, it's just about I want less clothing to end up in landfill. And I just want people to be mindful. I mean, mindfulness, God, that's one of those words that's all over the shop, isn't it? But I actually want to kind of bend that towards purchases because we all have our little innocuous devices. And, every moment of every day, you're being advertised, you're being encouraged to buy. I just want people to stop and even just thinking about your colours, if that can be just one little like thing that you think about to stop you from making that ill-advised purchase, because we all do it, that impulse purchase, because you want to feel good, you want to feel that dopamine hit. Just stop, have a little think, get your colours done.
No, I think that's sound advice. I think I'm sat here thinking, God, that sounds like me. So I'm male, and I think that the changes that I've gone through in my life, obviously having children, and not me personally, but having a family now, and even just maturing as well as I get older and my hair gets less. We all go through different stages, don't we? And as I say, and fashion should be one of those things. Our parents many moons ago, if they went to work in an office, they just probably had two or three suits, and that's just what they wore for a few years, and then they probably bought them exactly the same colours. And as I say, it's not necessarily right, but as you say, different changes in your life, should be celebrated, and especially with the things about colours. Once you've got your colour analysis done, you're on a real winner. And what I also found interesting, what you were saying, is that being male, I'm not tarnishing all males with the same brush, but I used to have a whole wardrobe of stuff that I'd bought, as you say, impulse purchase. And I'll be honest, some of the stuff sat in my wardrobe probably for 5 or 6 years. It was like, God,
Yeah.
that looked good on the hanger. You get it home and it's not so good. And you think, I just leave it there, because if most of you men I'm probably not alone in this, but you don't like taking things back. So literally, it was in the wardrobe, and I probably had, I would say, a good third of my rail was stuff that I thought looked great at the time. It fitted me when I got it home, but I could just never wear it. And again,
Never had the urge to pick it. Yeah.
yeah,
So common. There are so many people who are harboring clothing fugitives
yes,
back of their wardrobe with the tags still on, and that
yeah,
poor garment's never going to see light of day. It's been
no,
next.
yeah,
I think it's a shame and it's a waste, and that needs to stop.
yes, and I'm with you with that, because at the end, when after I had my colour analysis and I realised why the clothes didn't suit me, they all went to the charity shops. I'm hopeful that somebody got something out of it, but it definitely stopped me from overzealous buying. Do you know what I mean? In the sales, you think, oh, that's good, that's a
Yeah,
bargain. How can I not buy that? And in reality, it neither suited me,
yeah,
and it would have just spent months or years in the wardrobe before I finally
yeah,
gave it to a better cause.
yeah. And a top tip for people who do enjoy sales, because we all love a bargain, my top tip is if you wouldn't buy it full price, don't buy it. Because
Now that,
kind of turns around oh, what, this is such a good bargain, I'm going to buy it. But if you wouldn't pay full price for it, just don't buy
do you know what, Jill? That is a
it.
light bulb moment for me. A light bulb moment. I'm hoping the wife doesn't see this. That's all she'd be saying when I walk into a shop was a bargain. But yeah, you're right, aren't you? You are perfectly right, and that is, yeah, that's an eye opener.
Mm.
I wonder how the men and women watching this going, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yes, very true. Right, thank you for that. Now, during my investigation, I've obviously been on your website and looked at your socials and things.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to ask you, we obviously spoke about the groups that you deal with, quite a wide variety of groups, which I think is absolutely wonderful. But you actually do some group work as well, don't you, in terms of your offer? Can you tell us
Yes.
more about that?
So there's two, I'll put them into two buckets, I suppose. I do group parties, and this is for like groups of people that already know each other. So we're talking your outrageous hen parties, or we're talking about bridal parties because the bride wants to find out the best colour for her bridesmaids, mother of the brides, etc., etc. So I do those, and they're lovely. You can do them for like any kind of celebration, birthday, you can do those. And that's where all the participants know each other. And then in the other bucket, I do what I would perhaps not call a party, but a workshop. And this is simply where a group of strangers get together. They've got no idea who each other are, but they're in that same group setting and they all have their colours done with one another. Now, whilst they're both separate, I think there's definitely a commonality in that just the energy is unmatched. Because when I do one-to-one appointments, it's all about that person having to look in the mirror and really like see it for themselves. And my favorite part is the aha moment when they see it and they understand it. And I never let anyone leave the seat until they have that moment. That's guaranteed. But In the groups, what I love the most is one, I never have to say anything disparaging because it's always the other people, the friends saying, "Oh God, get that colour away from her. She looks terrible." And in my mind, I'm thinking, "Great, I don't have to say that." And there's a real energy. But I find that it's so much easier to see how color analysis works on another person rather than yourself. It's very strange. And I think as a species, even when you're getting your hair done at the hairdressers, you're sat in front of the mirror and you just look at yourself and you think, oh gosh, and you make notes of everything that you dislike about yourself. So I find that most clients just don't like the act of having to sit in front of a mirror and really like look at what's going on. But when you've got other people in the room, particularly women, because there's nothing more empowering than women like saying just how great you look in a certain color, and you believe it. You believe it if someone else tells you you look great in that color. Sometimes when it's one on one and I say, wow, this color looks great on you, can you see it? They can look a little bit unsure, like they want to like it, but it's like if they say they like it, suddenly they're conceited or, vain. But that's not it at all. So with the groups, it's just a really great way of seeing how it works on so many different varieties of people as well. Because I never have the group who has the same dominant palette for sure.
Yeah.
So I've talked about the hen parties and I've talked about the workshops, and there's also corporate as well. Because you know what, maybe your team doesn't want to do another bloody escape room.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to do something else. And I would definitely say a color analysis. It's fun, there's a lot of energy. It doesn't have to, it's not serious. Fashion is supposed to be fun. But they, at the end of the day, they take away like real useful information that they can apply not just to their corporate uniform, but to their personal life as well. So I'll always say to people, not everyone wants to go paintballing. Book book a color analysis workshop instead.
Do you know what? And again, I think when you mentioned the wedding part, I was thinking back to my wedding. Again, I think we picked the colours that we wanted, or the bridesmaids. We picked the colours to obviously match with Lucy. But as you quite rightly say, it might not have gone with. And to be fair, I think we were lucky. Yeah, so all of our friends had pretty much the same complexion, so I think it worked really well.
Yeah,
But as you say, the science behind that, if you are getting married now or in the future, is looking at what suits the bridesmaids, because the bridesmaids have to be happy as well on the day, don't
yeah,
they?
yeah,
And yeah, well, I've never thought about that. That's really good. I
yeah,
love the concept as well as going into businesses, because again, some people wear the same thing for years and years and years, and again, it's that confidence, because now I found my colors.
mm,
When I wear them and when I'm out and about, working, the confidence that it gives you is just really, really special.
mm,
And I don't think enough people know about it.
mm. I think people are worried about wearing bold color, and the irony is that when you wear bold color, people aren't noticing you for the bold color; they're noticing your face. And I think what really brought that point home to me was when I went to the Lincoln Business Club and you're in this huge room and there's 80 to 100 participants and it was literally a room of it was a sea of navy and black. I felt like a peacock. It was but I was only wearing a red sweater, so it wasn't overt, but the red. So if you are someone who wants to be remembered or to stand out, it's not hard at Lincoln Business Group. Just don't wear navy and grey. Done,
you,
easy.
you'll be good. And weirdly, Lucy, my wife, had her colour analysis done at the same time. We had like a couples,
Mhm,
and that's what they were saying to Lucy, because she was describing how she goes to a lot of networking events, and she was very much a grey and black kind of individual, probably
mhm,
because I wore so much black. And then again, as you rightly say, if you want to be remembered at networking event, you need to wear some bright and bold colours. So even though Lucy, she does have some bright items. So
yeah.
if you've ever networked with Lucy, anyone that's on the
She's
podcast
got the
here,
necklace and she has.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, she has
Mhm,
those wonderful bright necklaces.
mhm,
She also tends to wear some very vibrant jackets as well. And
yeah.
again, it's to stand out and be noticed. And
Yeah,
so yeah, so what you
absolutely.
say is absolutely spot on.
Yeah. You don't have to wear black or navy to come across as professional or even somber. I've had clients come through who are caseworkers for the children's services. And sometimes actually, if you're working with young people, to wear a colour makes you seem more approachable. You can still be professional, but actually getting out of that black and getting out of that grey, you are breaking down that initial visual barrier of, oh my goodness, this person's all in black, all in grey. That's quite serious. But if you can wear an all, let's say, forest green suit, still dark, still somber, but it just kind of takes that edge off. But clearly, it depends on your occupation. But you've got to know the rules in order to kind of manipulate them to your benefit.
Definitely. What I will say is, I know we'll cover the science a bit later on in our discussion because that's I want to get into that part. But yeah, that's very true, isn't it? As you say, it's those, you know, it's how color speaks, doesn't it? With maybe
Mm,
more than speaking itself. As you say, in that scenario, there actually breaking down the barrier between the youngster and the person who's
yeah,
who's trying to help them. Even such a small thing can make such a massive difference. I suppose it's kind of like harks back to when I was at school. Do you know what I mean? And we had the school teachers not wearing the same stuff. I remember one lovely gentleman of an older age teaching, and he used to have that classic suit, with the patches on his
yeah,
arms. Yeah, oh yeah. Another teacher always used to wear sandals, and it's weird what you remember. And I say
yeah,
that was their style,
yeah,
probably completely wrong for them. If
yeah,
they'd have had the ability to have a color analysis done, they'd
yeah,
have swiftly changed. But and that's and it's those little quirky odd things that I remember from school.
yeah.
Whereas, hopefully I should have remembered the education, but the clothes wise, that's what I can
Yeah.
remember.
So clearly they had their own style uniform, and I do use that term that everyone already has a style. And it might not be a style that you like, you might want to adjust it, and that's fine. Come see me. But everyone has a style uniform. So, for example, mine is denim and a t-shirt. And people will be like, Jill, you're a stylist. That's not very exciting. No, it's not very exciting, but I always look good.
Yeah.
Put together, and I can also move through the world with ease. And for me, that's so important. You have to feel like you have to feel comfortable without feeling frumpy, which is an interesting word that always seems to crop up when people come into my studio. But it's about, yeah, moving through the world with ease in a way that's authentic to you, and also requires minimum effort. It was interesting earlier when you talked about being a busy parent. Color analysis is also great because if you've got a wardrobe full of things that suit, make me look great, you just put it on and you're ready to go. No
Yeah.
more dithering in front of the mirror. And my next top tip for free is that if there is an item of clothing and you put it on, but you always take it off after you've looked at yourself in the mirror, get rid. Because times out of
Okay.
10,
Yeah.
intuitively, and this will be based on science, which we'll talk about, intuitively, your brain and your eyes are rejecting what it's
What
seeing
you just put on.
because it lacks the balance or harmony that suit your coloring. So if you have a piece of clothing and it always comes off, donate, sell, yeah, just rehome it.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, I think what we should do is we should have a little bit more discussion about the color analysis, so potentially how it works,
Mhm.
what the process is, just so
Okay,
people can get an insight into what will happen if they use the service.
my secret magic. Okay,
Yes.
so it's part science, part art. It's not just me waving drapes around your face saying you look fabulous, darling. I mean, there is an element of that, but it's based on a science, and it goes all the way back to 1905. And there was an artist called Albert Munsell. And for those of you who work in graphic design, you're an artist, interior designers, anyone who works with the Pantone Color of the Year, Farrow and Ball, all of those types, you'll be very familiar with Albert Munsell's color theory graph. And Munsell's color system, all it is really is that he took one color, and he's broken it down into three component parts. So, for example, he'd look at this color and be like, I'd say, okay, this is blue. And Albert Munsell would go, yeah, that is blue, Jill. But he'd also ask me, how dark is that blue to how light is that blue? And we call that value. So how dark to how light. He'd also look at that colour and go, Jill, how warm is that blue to how cool is that? And that's the chroma. And all of these words, some of you may have come across when you're doing your paint swatches or, anything like that. And then he'd also look at this and go, how soft is it? How muted to bang? How much clarity? How much punch is there in that colour? So based on those three components, blue is no longer blue anymore, Mark.
No, no.
Blue is it a light blue? Is it a soft muted? Is there a lot of clarity? Does it have a lot of punch? Um, so yeah, colours aren't just single colours. And when it comes to reds, there's a myriad. Red is not just red. And I have this debate with most clients as they come in because they're like, oh, that red is just red. No, wrong. So you've broken down the colour, and now it's all about the application to your face. And with colour analysis, I'm really only interested in the colour from the waist up. What goes on from the waist below is your business, not mine. But clearly, when we talk about style, I don't let people go off in a completely disjointed way. But the reason that the colour above your waist is so important because it is about the light. It's about moving that light around to make you know, your face look the best it can be. I think I always describe your face as like the headline act. That's what we want to put out on stage. We want people to see you first and not the colour. But it depends because if you are a clothes horse and you are all about fashion and you want people to see, the Prada dress you've got on, you could go for a colour that's completely, goes against your natural colouring. But boom, wow, we will see that dress first. And I guess to try and put a little bit of like context in that, it's the difference between someone seeing me at a party and going, wow, didn't Jill look amazing? And it's because the colour suits me, versus, God, did you see Jill in that yellow dress? I want people to remember the fact that I look hot. What I don't want people to remember is that I look like a giant lemon walking
Yes.
around this party. So that is the difference. And it goes back to that, yeah, you can wear whatever colour you want, but do you want people to think, God, I want what she's having, that death becomes her serum? Or, gosh, I don't really want to dress like her because all we saw was this lemon meringue floating around. So, going back to the analysis itself, I use drapes, and I think that's pretty well known. I mean, oh, here we go. I use like drapes like this, and I drape them around your face, and we go through all the ones that make you look great. And that's what a lot of color uh, analysts do. They always show you the colors that make you look great. Like, here's great colors, and you're like, yep, tick, tick, tick. What I do is I will always show you the colors that make you look terrible. And the reason I do this is because you will remember. You will remember that moment where I take the good color off to reveal the terrible color, and that's the aha moment because then you see the color drain from your face. Suddenly you're anemic. Suddenly you could be jaundiced. Suddenly you're pinched and your features are drawn down. And I know some people will be thinking, well, how can you achieve all of that with just a color by your face? Well, come check it out and I'll show you. But it is as simple as that. And it's down to balance and harmony. So we all have eyes, we have a face, hair of some sort. And based on the interaction between these three, because we're all unique, will determine the best colours for you. So another way I try to describe it is that if your face is the painting and your hair is the frame, three sides of the frame, we're just trying to add that last frame at the bottom. And your eyes and brain, there are certain color combinations that are just so pleasing. You'll look at something and go, gosh, that just looks good. And I must admit, nature is excellent inspiration. She very rarely gets it wrong, because the colors balance and they're harmonious with one another. So it's just the application of that, but to one's face.
that is a really good explanation for it. And I say I was thinking about then to when I had mine done, exactly the same process, and it is a wonderful thing. As I say, for those people out there thinking, oh, I can just get some drapes. It's not about that. For me, it was about the whole experience. Yeah, Lucy was a lot more up for it than what I was. I thought, what is this? But when honestly, but it's I think it's just me, the fear of the unknown. But
Mm.
then, as you say, is when I was shown the colours that don't mix and the colours that do that match my face. It just opens up so much. You just think, why haven't I done this before?
Yeah,
So yeah, and I think people should use it for whatever change they're having in their life, whatever age they are as well. Because it's definitely worth doing. And as I say, it is an eye opener.
yeah,
And I like the fact you'll do it for individuals, for parties, for groups, for business people. So there's so many benefits for having it done. It's almost like one of those things, isn't it? Because I suppose in effect, your skin might change over time, a bit more wrinkly, freckles and things. But pretty much, if I'm going to stick my neck out here, but for some of my children, when they end up going to university, it'd be something that I would consider for them, to try
yeah,
and so this is your color, this is what's going to make you stand out.
yeah,
Because it is all about standing out nowadays. You don't just
yeah.
want to be the person that just hides in the back. Nobody notices. If you're in business, even working for yourself, it's making sure you're known, isn't it? So I think,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I think it's bringing it. So what I also do is that I would consider I'm quite contemporary. I think gone are the days where when you talk about color analysis with people, they think back to the 80s. Um, but like a lot of things in the 80s, we've developed and we've moved.
yes,
And people think of the heavily coiffed women and the shoulder pads,
shoulder pads, yeah,
which, I'm here for, love. But I think for me, it's bringing color analysis into a contemporary setting. And I'm seeing more younger people, students, Lincoln University students, because they are, members of, Extinction Rebellion. They know that they need to wear clothes, but they don't want to keep buying into, you know, what is being put out there. They want to start making their investment pieces. And we're not talking expensive designer brands. We're talking down at the charity shops. So, I'm getting younger people coming in because they're like, okay, I want to know what colors suit me because then when I go to the charity shops, I can absolutely hone in like a missile on what exactly is going to make me look great. And it's so great because for some people, charity shops are off-putting for a variety of reasons, but for one of them, it's just the overwhelm. It's like, wow, there's a lot of stuff in here. But if I can tell you that you can simply just ignore some swathes of colour and really focus in on what is going to suit you, it's going to make your experience just much more enjoyable and more fruitful. At the end of the day, you are going to find secondhand garments that are a snip of the price that you would buy them on the high street. So again, why wouldn't you do that?
I love it. I love it. So we've gone through lots of benefits, but is there any benefits we haven't touched on that you think it's important to get out there?
I guess the one benefit that I think that isn't tangible is it's the confidence boost. And actually that's come as a bit of surprise to me as well. So in December, I did couple of colour parties for an organisation that I'll shout out now called Moving Forward Lincoln. And this is a group that supports women who have survived domestic abuse. And they invited me along to do a colour party because we're talking about women who have been told not to wear makeup or what clothes to wear. And so this was a pretty serious gig for me, like most serious one to date. And I did have some like reservations. I was a bit like, oh, okay. And I went, and it was the most incredible experience for me. For me, it was really transformative. But to help these women, to show them the colours and what it can do, and even just like applying lipsticks to them, and they could choose the I don't know, the gratitude. I'm shaking when I'm talking about it, which is, yeah, it's just that feeling. They were so grateful. They were so grateful. And then it was just that confidence. And then they even came back to me and said, Jill, you've just made us feel amazing, $1 million. And I thought, gosh, really? Because I just do what I normally do. Although I'm always thinking, oh my God, is this, that is, am I doing enough? As you always get as a small business owner. But the warmth and it really like lifted me up and they were all lifted up. And it was definitely one of those like moments everyone was hugging and I was like, oh my God. And it was a lot. It was really a lot. So that confidence that it can give someone, and even if you are already a very confident person, it just, I don't know, it just makes you feel good about being in your own skin. And I think that's what it's about.
Definitely, and as I say, having gone through the process before, I can totally see that it changed the way that I dressed. Um, so yeah, I can totally get that with the confidence. As I say, for any of those individuals out there that think, is it for me? Just do it. It'll change your life in terms of what you wear, as you say, the way you hold yourself, the confidence that you have. I started this journey probably, don't know, three years ago when we started the coaching side. And again, it's those little changes that you make, and all of a sudden it just gives you, massive confidence.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's obviously stuff that I can start the way that I stand, the way that I hold myself, but the color side, you know, is just it's a phenomenon that's, I say, witchcraft. I don't understand it, but I
yeah, I've
do
been
now.
told to follow it.
I do now with the science behind it. And a color is not just a color. There's lots of different variations of
Yeah.
that color. But yeah, if you're thinking about it, please see Jill, because it is life changing, and there's so many parts of your life that can be changed through the confidence that you get.
Mhm.
And also, if you're running out of wardrobe space, you can definitely shift a load of stuff that you might have been harboring for that
Absolutely.
for that for that point in time. Jill, is there anything else you want to add? Oh, I know what I was going to ask. Is it only in person, or can it be done online?
So I used to offer an online service, but I must admit, color analysis is a bit like dental work. It's best done in person. And because you need good light, you need natural light mostly, and you need to be there in person. I think you can do color analysis on an app. You could buy an app for 5.99, do the color analysis. And I've tried it, I've written a blog about it. And whilst it did give me results, but what it lacks is it's not just about knowing your colors, it's about how to utilize them with one another. Because during the consultation, we talk about patterns, textures, your style, your lifestyle. It's not just about me going, oh, you're this color, here's your swatch wallet, off you go. There's so much more to it. It's very tailored, bespoke service that is completely unique to you. Yes.
No, honestly, definitely. I was just thinking. So at the moment, we're talking probably East Midlands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do. So a lot of people come to me for one-to-one because I have a studio. Again, it's like going to the spa. You go to the spa, relax, you have this wonderful treatment, you have an education, and you go away. For parties, I can travel to the host's house, which is great because they always have a little bit of fizz. There's always nibbles, and I can turn up with all my bits and pieces and do the razzle dazzle. But definitely, I'd always recommend in person. When it comes to wardrobe editing, because I can help you purge your wardrobe, I can do that online, but it is just a case of you having to, take your
hold the
device
featured
holding
items.
up
Yeah.
pieces, and I'll go yes or I'll go no. And we go through the purge. So that I can do online. But I would say to anyone who is seeing color analysis TikToks, the apps, yeah, the apps can do it. They're not, but it's based on large data. It's not unique to you. All it is spitting out data that's collected from thousands of other users that have done it. So I'd always go see a person.
Yeah,
Me.
yeah. Honestly, I think it's one of those experiences that you need to. Yes, there are some apps you can use for various things in our lives, probably loads, but
Yeah.
definitely color analysis, I think, is definitely a great experience to
Yeah.
actually have. So thank you, Jill. I really appreciate that. The one thing I was going to ask you before I go is, for somebody looking to start their own business, being an entrepreneur that you are, what's best advice you could give them?
Oh, just start. Honestly, you just call yourself whatever. Doesn't even have to be your final version of your business name. Just start, because you'll never be in that perfect position to get out of the starting blocks. You've just got to start moving, and it doesn't have to be fast. But yeah, I think just start.
Brilliant. Thank you, Joe. That's really good. And that obviously, and I say the same in return, about the color styling, don't just think about it, book it in, make that commitment, and just enjoy the
Yeah.
experience. Because I say I was very apprehensive before I did it, but it is literally life changing. And I don't say that lightly. There's certain things I've learned being in business, but definitely the color analysis that I have had done is life changing.
Every
So
single client, sorry, who
that's right.
sits here always says, I wish I had done this sooner.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think as well, as you go through different periods of your life, then as much as potentially your color may not change, I think about having a refresh is
Yeah,
something that I spoke to Lucy about in the past. And as we get to certain ages, and we'll have a refresh, we'll book in again. Is it still the same? Because we would do with our car, wouldn't we?
yeah,
Every year I know maybe not every year is a bit excessive, but with a car you're forced to take it in every 12 months, make sure it's still fit for purpose. Whereas a color analysis, I think it's going to be one of those things that, for me especially, we will do it on an ongoing basis, just to see if there are any changes, different parts of our life. Um, yes, thank you so much, Jill. Is there anything you'd like to add before we end the podcast?
no, that's it. Thank you very much for having me.
No, honestly, it's always an eye opener. It's lovely. So, Jill from YooHoo, thank you so much for your time. You can find Jill's contact details below this video. So, yes, Jill, thank you so much for imparting your knowledge. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.